welcome back to the stream. Today we're starting the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I played the original game, but I played the original trilogy, and this game came out back when Neo the World Ends With You came out, but I totally forgot about it in the hype of Neo 12. But we're finally playing it now. Because I wanted to. That's why. So today we're playing, and we have nothing better to do. So this will be a game we play when I don't have anything better to do, alongside Danganronpa Another 2. I will be making a video out of it, but maybe... I'm not sure, but yeah. I'll probably make a video out of it later, but right now I want to play this game. So this takes place in olden times.
After opening its doors, a push for cultural.
Did you hear that they're thinking about making Live a Live 2 if Live a Live 1 sells well? If the remake sells well? On Steam and PlayStation? That goes crazy. I'm so excited for that.
Making life in the capital exciting and unsettling. It was a period of great change, and some was swept away by the tide.
So, we're playing Ace Attorney today, and we'll go back and forth between this and Danganronpa Another until... What? We'll go back and forth between this and Danganronpa Another.
The turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
We'll go back and forth between this and Danganronpa Another. And then next time, and then when Bomb Rush Cyberfront comes out, we'll play that. So we're gonna do switch between this and Danganronpa Another until Bomb Rush Cyberfront comes out. Then we'll play that, and then we'll go back to switching. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? What? Nothing. Save your glares, murderer. Sorry. Are we defending ourselves? My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. That's a name. I'm a second-year student at Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident, and now here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough! He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer! And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Okay, so we're not playing as Ryosuke. And until the judge has given his verdict on this case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. I'm not gonna lie, I prefer the sprites over the 3D models. I'm not gonna lie, I prefer the sprites. they seem more lifelike. Technicalities. Look, you haven't even graduated yet. And yeah, I still need to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course. My controller keeps buzzing. Sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? No, I suppose that wasn't my fault. Fuck, this is gonna be a lot of reading. I wish there was... But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you like this. I'm sorry. Ha ha ha! There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. I wish there wasn't... I like reading, but I wish there was voice acting, so I didn't have to read every single... You were Professor murdered in cold blood by a student, but obviously you actually do it, did you? Of course not. You have to believe me. I didn't do it. I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourselves up. Holding your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Osogi, my best friend, also in his second year at Yuma University, but he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old, here in Japan anyway. My qualifications don't mean much. Reading so much, like, I wish there was voice acting, like, in Raincode, because reading so much... Reading so much, like, out loud for the stream makes me tired. Like, these streams tire me out, and even though the game is fun, and I like learning about the story, reading so much tires me out. But it's worth it, because it makes for entertaining streams. 3 days ago. Yes, that's when this all started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know, I've forever been dreaming of this day. Eventually, those government cities have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So, this is before they had, like... This is before they had, like, ethic codes for these guys, right? Because, like, nowadays you can't represent your friend, right? Like, that goes against lawyer ethic codes, right? Like, doctors can't practice on their friends. You can't represent your friend. Isn't that right? You'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal craft on my own. I'm really happy for you and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know his name. He's a living legend. There's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring change in our own legal system. Okay? That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time learning up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place for a little longer. You said me English to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. It was straight after that when it happened. Osogi, may I have a word? Hello? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Asogi, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. He's about to be murdered. He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense of this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Are you like Maya Fey's ancestor? I think that's how this goes. Yes, thanks, Kazuma. See, the problem with these games is they're more about the murder. Are they, like, at the beginning there, but I guess the same is for Danganronpa. If I may, you must be the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yujin Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Ah, Professor Mikotoba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Well, if you know that her, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study. However, if you fail to defend in today's trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked and never granted again. What? Alright, my friend says the first case is a bit of a slog. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered. But I don't understand, why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of people. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant a permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. But I didn't do it, I swear, I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry, what do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, naturally I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to conviction. Right, so as soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose certain questions to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. What will the question be? Surely not, do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Do you defend it? Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It appears our surreptitious discussions are over, so allow me to summarize. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. Get moving. There's no point advocating the likes of you anyway. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over, and what more, I'll be found guilty of murder. With absolutely no idea what lay ahead, I embarked on the unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that would decide my destiny. So this is a courtroom. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't like the looks of these people sitting in the gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms are in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary member of the public. So it's closed windows. It'll become clear in time. So it's some sort of conspiracy. But for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. Why do we get to stand next to the... I fucking love pain. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I'd like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to the trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for who advocates for the defendant in this trial. This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do, I need to answer quickly. What should I do?
Yes!
What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You'll be... What? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. No, it's not that really, it's just that... Well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes. I knew that's how you'd feel. Which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The Goyuba recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well. Does the accused admit defeat already, renouncing his own counsel? Really?
Objection!
Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocent and so apparent he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of the Judiciary of Japan. Accordingly, the very high standard of conduct are expected of all present. Except when not. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? He's questioning your ability to do the job. So, let's start with the very simplest of questions. Yes! Kindly say before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. I have? But... wait. Ugh, I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. Well, to find it, all you need to do is press the X button. Thanks, Kazuma. I just have to press RB for the court record. What is that? I'm not holding a controller. This is a list of evidence you corrected. Now try switching to people instead with RB. You find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press B to go back. John H. Wilson. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. Now, you better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record and then press Y to present.
Yes!
Yes! The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yume University 3 years ago. I don't like the 3D models, I'm sorry. I prefer the sprites. They just seem more expressive. Even though these are expressive, more expressive than other 3D models in games, I prefer the models of... They can't be had... Anyone who hasn't heard of the Angular Treaty. Yes, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. So, we're gonna switch back and forth between this and Danganronpa, is how this is gonna work. That's how the streams are gonna work until Bomber Cyberpunk comes out, and then we're gonna play that every day until we beat it, and then we'll go back to switching. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court, therefore, wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policy. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. Oh right, he's not an Englishman. The victim's an Englishman. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. They're gonna speak English? The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table. No, this guy was speaking a British accent. And introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruto. Yes, Your Excellency. How did this professor of medicine, John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death. Well, obviously that was, Vyurovsky. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence, but how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. This is all we have in the fucking court record? gunshot to the caused by a gunshot to the death. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body.
Yes!
Well, according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile! That's a post-mortem report, I take it. That's gonna be his... It's the Monokuma file. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. What? Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is the so-called photographic print of the crime scene. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, Counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. We love science! I love playing games that take place in the past and then laughing at them for how things were in the past because I'm a zoomer. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well, I'm satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. What? He's in the YMCA. Very well, Your Excellency. So without further ado, in order to better apprise the corpse with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Clearly, you're the defense lawyer today, not me, but that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Yeah, it's flowing in the fucking wind. Alright, so is this business as usual? Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course, my name is Satoru Hanasoga. I'm the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called Le Carnival. What? You seem to be coughing up some It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, the capital Southeastern Quarter was developed for foreign East visitors. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. The grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery 3 days ago. Restaurants were just invented, you see. Where did people eat? Hanasoga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about this incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Perspiring maybe, but aspiring? It's just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have a few diners at the time of the day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there was only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it, too. There's hardly anyone else at this place. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair, and standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Objection!
I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. The next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, defended Naruhodo. Don't worry, Inosuke. You have your chance to fight back. For now, we just must quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point, waiter, standing beside the victim with gun in hand was the same man we see in court today? Yes, without question. I see, and apart from the accursed, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No, there was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. There was no one else around that table? What's the matter, Inosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do?
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I was sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table. Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for course proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a friend. Hanasoga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy. No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. A sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course, here you are. What was that about? He's been completely... Is he all... Are we already getting to the murderer? Is he, like... Okay, so he's the murderer, right? That's why... This is one of the reasons why I prefer Danganronpa to Ace Attorney, is because the murders are, like, more of a secret. In this game, the murderers seem more obvious. Like, they reveal it to you before you actually accuse them. And I don't really like that formula. It's more fun to solve the mystery in Danganronpa. So, the court has now heard of pieces of the case. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant, the only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on the trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt on the stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain that he wasn't even sworn in? Prosecution has decided evidence from the sworn witnesses who were there at the... What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at the stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotopa said it, and so has the judge and prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? If the accused is in fact innocent, that the defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We would invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence is. Indeed, Prosecutor Archie, please continue with proceedings. Well, we were warned, the young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. That sounds like a fucking Mori Coyote bar. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Witnesses, kindly say your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon's Imperial Army, Sergeant Ayasu Nosa. Reporting for duty, sir. Myself, I find employed as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the effervescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rastier, a humble premises in the 2nd District, Kurio Kokureta, if at your service. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant at the day in question. They must be the diner at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take the tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and not infrequently converse with interested parties and regarding the curioso in which I make my business. What? I can't understand anything that weird old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's... a regular at La Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets La Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant. You see, although to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative! The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So this is the decisive evidence that prosecution was threatening. The soldier was claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you saw the victim dead. You shot the victim dead. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I'm feeling uncomfortable from the start. Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will say everything you saw at the precise moment where the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir! Standing by ready to report, sir. Unsavory memories of an almost archaic afternoon. What was that noise? I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with an old man. Also, Danganronpas are more game than this. This Ace Attorney are less gamey. While having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed that... Is there a cat? The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from there, the cowardly little weasel... I was on my hands and knees, investigating the whereabouts of the mysterious absconded previous curio. Well, you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Was there a baby? What times are we living where an English gentleman would be assailed in broad light of day? But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes, all I did was pick up the gun I saw lying on the floor. After I said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and started drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant. But I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. And you picked it up? I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it, so I bent down, and I was just picking it up. Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. Why was he on his hands and knees? And somewhere in this two witnesses' testimony, there's a clue as to who that victim criminal was. Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witness. Do it now! As we have heard, Your Excellency, there's no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony in this court is just heard. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this trial. Yes! What is the name of the emperor or the meaning of this outburst? The defense... The defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me, let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did you know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out an observation? The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not he thinks he's capable of it is irrelevant. Very well, let the defense conduct a cross-examination. This is where the battle really begins. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. You didn't fire the gun, which is what the soldier said has to be a lie. It's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Slap? I think it's him, because he was on his hands and knees. He would have seen the gun.
Yes!
So you're saying you actually saw me at that time? Affirmative. I saw you, laughing, cackling like a madman as you trained the barrel of your gun. But that's impossible. Allow me to confirm just one point, please. What's that, Private? Thinking carefully about the statement you just made, it seems to me that it must have been just after you heard the gunshot that you looked over to the victim's table. Well, if that really is the case, it would mean that you didn't in fact see the precise moment the killer actually killed the man. Arg! And double arg! My sixth sense. My sixth sense of danger. I picked up the waves of murderous energy radiating from your foul mind. Which means a split second before you pulled the trigger, I was the trigger. What is that noise? Well, it would seem that this soldier is absolutely convinced he saw you do the deed.
Yes!
So this Blackthorn University cadet, you saying that was I've had about enough of your sauce, cadet. Who else do you see around you in a black uniform? It was you, you little weasel. Oh, from behind his back. No, because... What is it, Rinosuke? I'm not quite sure. It's something that the sergeant just said, but I can't put my finger on it. Something's playing on my mind. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you gathered in the court record, and you find an inconsistency there with what the witness just said, and then don't hold back. Present the evidence to the court, thrust it in the witness's face, and make him choke on. What?! You shot from the front.
Yes!
Say the funny word. What? What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Just something some photographic print in my mustache? Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes! There's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What could this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. This is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print. Okay, thanks for carrying the trial for me, Kazuma. Thanks for being our Kyoko. At the photographic prints, there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Iasanosa. What's the pun in that name? The statement you made was this. The black uniform varsity cadet fired on the English civilian and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir! Affirmative, sir! I witnessed the crime from my own eyes. But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? It's because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? What? Why does he have a kid with him? Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Did the baby commit the murder? Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious La Carnival steak, sir. The last testimony of the court has proven one thing beyond a reasonable doubt. This sergeant did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. That's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There's no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Get his ass! There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? What? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Treasure? Indeed, the Hoya Koban, my prized coin. On each occasion where I visit that restaurant, it is my habit to place it in my bosom pocket as a particular trinket of interest from my shop. In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you. On the day, under scrutiny, it was to be the military man that I proffered my Hoai treasure. Believed that he would purchase such a rare find. I did not, but presented with little alternative. Then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, there was no more. It simply vanished. The Koban vanished. Hunting around under the table, I was, in case it may have fallen there, and then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not. I was currently finding my treasure. Nothing could have distracted me. On interest, did you find the coin in the end? No. I see. I think the sergeant killed him to try to steal the either the sergeant or the waiter killed him to try to steal the coin. And to distract him by stealing the coin. As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony that the court heard was inconclusive, no matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Archie? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled the tiger at the front gate, but you will find a wolf in the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain? Upon hearing their next statement, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could have possibly committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion on you, doesn't he? Very well. The court invites the witness to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. You should also explain why you fucking lied! As cute as Kiriko Glass, it's me, Kiriko. You should see me on my bike. 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 Yes, sir. At once, sir. Ready to testify, sir. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Ido. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant to being too strapped to a former nanny. Ido, attention! Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. What? Even what I saw wasn't the precise moment. It's almost the same thing. No, it's not. Almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas, bitch. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, and the young lad in black. That myself I did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed. I never finished the third case of the final case of the third game. I do know what happens. Like, I watched a video, but like I watched the video of Trials and Tribulations third case, but I never finished the game myself because I already know what's gonna happen. So what's the point of playing? Okay, but I'm planning on playing when they're releasing a, hi Amber, you're watching the stream. I didn't know that. Or are you? Are you watching the stream? I don't know. I'm planning on it when the bundle releases in 2024 for Steam. A5, my beloved. Is it that good? Is it that good? Well, there's a network error. What happened? What? Is my... What? What the fuck? Oh, why is the court record open? Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Did my internet just crash? No, it's just on this computer. There we go. Here we go. A visual search of the present. No, the alone he was, the Englishman. Dining all by himself. No, we said there was a woman there. No one other than the Black Fort uniform cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. These testimonies are certainly compelling. Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at this table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her. If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of this court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. The table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after, there was only one place set. Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in company of anybody else. Maybe the other person didn't eat anything? This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's doctored! It's just not possible nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. It's a conspiracy! He maintains that Dr. Wilson came alone to the restaurant as well. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Tatsuki Hiyoshi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth, and in your cross-examination. The defense is titled to cross-examine the witness, but make it quick, understood? Rules can be so unbending at times.
Yes!
Almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas. No, it's not the same thing at all. Sorry, I didn't fire that gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of an uninformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet it's an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Attention! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? And let us not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in this most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so? No, you were on the floor. Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time. But I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor. You would have seen the gun on the floor! I had just finished drinking my coffee and was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at exactly that moment, a gunshot rang in my ears. Full of events beyond our control, life is. In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and found myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains. Myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand standing over the foreigner. Furthermore, a visual search of the prior says
Yes!
you must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. As you have been in pains to point out time and time again, I feel like I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else who appears to have caught a glimpse of this woman. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course the place was almost empty. It is what you'd expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of the time to eat. I wonder if there's a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day and why it was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem the victim had an appointment at the clinic prior from visiting the restaurant. Hada Clinic? You mean Lauda Hart? What? It appeared to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it's hard to see now how it can be related.
Yes!
If I may, I'd like ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard a conductor's witness testimony. Additional evidence is extraneous. Not to mention the victim's movement prior to the restaurant are of no concern. Whether or not is any of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well, the court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officers, kindly add the medical report card to the court record. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Wait, hold on. What angle was this photo taken from? Is it possible for the table to be that close compared... Like...
Yes!
So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone. That I did. Forgive me for the position I place you in. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget, the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. I don't see anything wrong with the evidence. As can be seen, there's only a single beefsteak on the victim's table, a meal for one. The antiques dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter you testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. But if so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea.
Yes!
Why aren't you telling the truth? Well, what do you take it at? I clearly remember. There is a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Yes, we've gone over this. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion is not possible. He also said that the victim was alone. Precisely. In other words, you're the sole proponent of this phantom lady. If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've learned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. This is a brand new piece of evidence, so perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. You'll notice that some pieces of evidence appear in a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press A, and then you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Use the... to rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it in all angles. By using the left stick, you can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. If crosshairs start to pulsate, press A to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. What is the A button? See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it more in detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use the... I love it when games do this. Like, obviously it needs to do this, but it's really funny. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history, and there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It seems so. Just before the incident, he had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern medicine practiced in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia, though it's hard to believe that anything can actually stop you from feeling pain. There's a cautionary note for the medical practitioner. Strictly no food or drink beside... Ah! So the woman was eating and not him! With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you?
Yes!
Say objection! Well, I think, about what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer. I wish I could, but first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke, everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see quite clearly in the cross-examination you just carried out, when you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully, just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. Kurakucha-san, this is a medical report belonging to the victim. Ah, I see, and I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card to your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up. I like how he... Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. Let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There's surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimony the court have heard has been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on it at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides the pale-faced people that could have possibly perpetrated the crime. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case? Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hata Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? First time I told you that the victim just had a tooth extracted. What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say? He had orders not to eat? So what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't... Kuroki-san. As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we know now, just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner. Okay, so we're gay for each other, right? What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table. Let me do it. Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? The music in Ace Attorney goes harder, in like the main trilogy goes harder. I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. I hate you. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Huh? Yes, most definitely. Having just gone on to dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat, which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beef steak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on its new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it! So, the person eating the steak must have been... Obviously, it could only have been someone else who was sitting at the table. You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything, yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on this table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion that there was someone else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witnesses' testimonies are unreliable. It is if the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair real trial relentlessly. Are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them, those two witnesses in the stand. No, the whole point of Ace Attorney is that the prosecutors are in on it, right? We've demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not dining alone, so now it turns out the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies. Obviously, you will be charged with perjury. And since this is a murder trial, you'll also be deemed complicit in the killing. No! Hold it! Negative! There was no mention of this at the tactical. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh. What did you just say, Kokuja-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders. Now hold on, lad. I was, say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas?
Objection!
What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair? Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Oh, so they are covering it up intentionally. Yeah, that's the whole point of Ace Attorney. I love his weak little... Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? The real culprit, maybe? That's classified. So you're planning to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't want to believe Achi had any idea about it. I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. The woman! It could only be the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any idea about who might be behind this? The government! If we can affirm we tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. The woman, right? Of course, we'll need evidence before we can make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever did it really did wield his or her power. But how? Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and making sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers! If it's proven that the witnesses have been manipulated, the penalty will be served. Please wait, Your Excellency. I have no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god, I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this, Why, Your Excellency? You, right? It's you or you. It can't be you, right? He wasn't even on the scene. The victim?
Yes!
There, what do you make of that? I think, Counsel, that you may want to close your ears as well as your eyes. Otherwise, the sighs of disappointment in the courtroom may very well deafen you. If you must close your eyes in a crisis, might I suggest you keep your mouth shut next time, too? Otherwise, I may have to use the influence I have in this courtroom to shut it permanently. Okay, so it's you. I don't have a great deal of influence myself, but believe me, I can find other ways to make you keep your mouth shut as well. There must be a clue somewhere in all that evidence in the court record. Besides the prosecution. The head waiter, right?
Yes!
Okay, the music stopped. That means I did it right. Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. The waiter who took the stand earlier. Poppycock! What possible reason could the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not the fact that even the head waiter could have that possible evidence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. What? Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Ryunosuke's. Chief Inspector, okay. Yeah.
Yes!
I'm not sure what this is supposed to prove, Counsel. Oh, I have to present the specific spot? Oh. Yeah, I know. I just was presenting the item instead of the specific spot, like in the first Ace Attorney game. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I hate these games. Well, that's unexpected. Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Yes, well, witness cards do show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected, it's his job title. His job? Oh, Chief Inspector Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector, what on earth? I have no idea, but let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here...
Yes!
I usually shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure what we conclude from anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon. Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the... Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurants on the revert side of the business card. The front of that business card reveals the man's in question's profession. His true profession. The waiter's profession, but that's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand... Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was he who told you not to mention that you'd see this foreign gentlewoman? Well... Hold it! Inspector Hosonaga! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. So this is before the world became Japanifornia, like in Ace Attorney. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So you need to say you really are a detective. But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Of course, your salary must be terrible. I was working undercover. There have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter working undercover. Incident at the restaurants? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will be elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to that other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran into the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, who I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed out the restaurants and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then I received some special orders. Remove the Englishwoman from the scene of the crime at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence was to be concealed. Those are my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be everyone's best interest to not pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationships with Britain more highly than anything at this important. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would not be completely out of the question. That would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in the case. The evidence is that he was shot from the front, not from the back. I was behind him. We never went into that. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yuma University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research facility, is a young Englishwoman. You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university's professor was the certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yuma University's medical facility. What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of the lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her nor their testimonies. It must now be up to Your Excellency how to decide how to deal with the situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particular critical premise, namely that the victim was dining alone. However, as we now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection!
But, Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other country to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Inspector Honosaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student, Giselle Brett, to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency. Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before convening. Okay, and it's going to be a shorter stream. That's what I'm going to call it for today, because I'm going to be busy later tonight. So I want to edit the video, the VOD, and then do what I need to do. So I'm going to call the stream early today. Just an hour and a half, I know. I will be streaming Rivals later tonight, though. Probably. If I get out of the shower in time. So, thank you for watching. We're gonna go raid... Who are we gonna go raid? Who's live right now? We're gonna go raid Singularity. /raid. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.